So we continue the talk on Platform Sutra, the chapter of the doubts. Today's day is Sunday, September 22nd, 2024. Last time we ended the talk on Sunday also, September 15, 2024, where we talk about causes and effects. And we're saying that using Buddhist principles, we should repay what we owe, but we should think of a better way to repay it. First, we help ourselves, and second, we help other person as well. And if we must repay, then just do it simple, just repay them. If they demand a life, give a life. If they demand money, give money. If they demand a person, give a person. If they demand something, give that thing. Then your mind will be at peace. However, we should still be mindful of the methods and techniques we use. All right, so now continue on. It's saying having thoughts, but not dwelling on them. So that we could practice. It is called thoughts without obstruction. Now in here, we should understand that the Platform Sutra not only talk about theories, but also it talks about methods. Here the saying of thoughts without obstruction. We should understand that it doesn't mean having no thoughts at all. What happens if we have no thoughts at all? Then probably we're dead. We are not a person, or we're just a stone. For humans, have thoughts. We have mind, we have thoughts. But the practice is that once a thought arises, just let it pass. Do not dwell on it or feel regret. And then your mind will be at peace. Now, here is important to understand the nature of any thoughts. Is that they come and they stay and they go away. So that is the nature of it. So we don't have to hold on to any of the thoughts that we have. But first of all, the thought that we have, it has bad thought, which referring to we have afflictions. So we need to deal with it the first. And then thought that is just thoughts. Then we don't have to hang on to them. And things that we see that the thoughts are having attachments, then we should, again, practicing thought without obstructions. Of course, you may have a question of, what about some creative thinking? I'm planning to do something. I'm on a project. I have a plan to do something. Yes, of course, we all have thoughts, but do not relate these thoughts to the so-called our vexations, our emotions. that is important. And I think many of us got caught into these thoughts without knowing that that is our attachment. For some people, these attachments, they like it, even though they know it's their attachment, they still like it. So if we think there is a special significance for you when you have thoughts, then remember that could be our trouble. So we should treat all thoughts with equanimity, whether they are good or bad. By treating them with equanimity, our mind will remain calm. And when the mind is consistently calm, we can perceive our true nature. It is in this state that we gain wisdom. So true wisdom is dealing with all matters and people calmly, clearly, and without emotional attachment. Now, remember, it is not being cold or indifferent. Rather, it is the true, subtle function of the mind, which is the real merit. So that becomes our practice. And of course, when we think, easy said than done, right? Of course. But still we have hope that we could practice. We can practice. Then the next text is that inner humility is merit, outward courtesy is virtue. That is from the Platform Sutra. But why does Platform Sutra keep emphasizing humility? And what is its importance in spiritual practice? Well, first of all, it is to counteract arrogance. We should maintain humility and modesty in our minds and be polite, courteous, and respectful to others in our conduct, in our behavior. There's an example that given by our teacher. He said that he heard about a lay practitioner, an elder who had been a Buddhist for decades. And this person thought he had achieved great spiritual progress and believed that monastics were not as advanced as he was. He even called himself a teacher and had many students. So he would often tell his students something like this: monastics are not qualified to be our teachers, but to instill a sense of shame in them. We should still bow to them when we meet, so they feel ashamed of their lack of spiritual cultivation. As a result, his students naturally did not seek out monastic teachers. What happened was that One time, one of his disciples came to see our teacher to discuss something. After bowing to our teacher, the student said, I am a student of a certain teacher, which is the teacher that we mentioned. So our teacher immediately responded, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed. So the student looked at Sifu and our teacher continued saying that, you bowed to me this time. Weren't you trying to make me feel ashamed? So the student replied, our teacher says that, but trying to make a Dharma master feel ashamed seems wrong, doesn't it? This is an example of arrogance. He thought he was better than others and held this belief in his mind. When he bowed to you or to a monk, he thought he was superior. So is this attitude humble or arrogant? So there is another example. Another lay practitioner, a young man, claimed that he was now an arhat. Someone asked him, so-and-so practitioner, you say you are an arhat. Who confirmed this? Then the young man replied, no one in this world can confirm that I am an arhat. I'm self-verified, self-enlightened. Some other people ask, since no one can confirm this, are you willing to discuss what level you have achieved with someone else? Then the young man replied, because in this world, there's no one else beside me who is an arhat. Still, someone suggested, could you discuss this with someone else? Perhaps not Master Seng Yen, but someone who often speaks about Chan on television or radio. That person might understand something. Why don't you ask them? This young man replied, if you insist that I must ask, I will humble myself and consult with them. But in my mind, no one can confirm me, and no one is qualified to discuss with me. So, what do you think? Is that person a humble or an arrogant person? Now, this is brought up to demonstrate that platform Sutra teaches us to be humble. If the two examples above for the elder and the young practitioners, if they were correct, then the platform Sutra would be wrong, because it tells us, be humble in your heart and courteous in your appearance. There's another story like this. There was once a lay practitioner who wanted to visit a very famous Chan master. On the way up the mountain, he encountered an old monk carrying manure and tending to vegetables. So the lay practitioner asked, the old monk, "Oh monk, do you know if a certain Chan master is here today?" And the old monk replied, "Why do you want to see him?" The lay practitioner said, "I want to visit him today." And the old monk said, "Oh, that person is useless. About the same as me. What's the point of seeing him?" The lay practitioner scolded the old monk. "How dare you be so disrespectful? That monk is very famous, and I came to visit him today. How can you, living on this mountain, think that this monk is irrelevant?" The old monk replied, "All right, if you want to see him, go ahead. He's here today anyway." So the lay practitioner continued up the mountain, and the old monk, carrying manure, followed behind him. The lay practitioner asked, "Why are you following me?" The old monk said, "Aren't you here to see someone who you are looking for?" The lay practitioner replied, "I'm looking for a certain Chan master." Then the old monk said, "All right, go inside." After entering, the lay practitioner waited in the guest hall. The old monk put down his manure load, went to the back, and then came out to greet him. "Lay practitioner, weren't you looking for a certain old monk?" The lay practitioner replied, "Yes. How are you here?" The old monk said, "Please come inside and sit." After sitting, the old monk poured him tea and sat beside him, waiting for the lay practitioners to speak. After a while, the lay practitioner said, "Why hasn't the old monk come out yet? Could you inform him?" The old monk replied, "Why do you need to inform him? I already walked with you for a while, make you tea, and now you still want to see him?" So the story ends here. Now, this story illustrates that a Chan master, an accomplished monk, is the same as an old monk carrying manure. He does this himself, serves teas to others, and show them the way. Then, in the end, when the lay practitioner knelt to bow to him, the Chan master said, "No need to do this. Your mind is full of things." Well, such things happen at that time, ancient time. Because nowadays we have cameras, we have photos, and everyone know who is who. So it won't happen like this in the modern time. But it is just to tell us that the way the monk dress or the way they do is just very much like ordinary people. Then talking about this humility, the way we must be humble. Humility is beneficial. In Confucian morality, it is said, humility brings benefit, while arrogance invites loss. So humble is the ultimate and most complete virtue. Those who cannot be humble, even if they believe they are knowledgeable or enlightened, have many flaws and are prone to harm others and themselves. And this is what is meant by lacking merit. However, being humble does not necessarily make themselves admire, obey, or support you. If you're humble while the other person is not, the issue remains the same. But if you maintain humility, your problem is resolved. And any issues the other person has are their own. You shouldn't hold grudges. If you do, then you are not truly humble. Talking about being humble, then we would like to talk about the method of practice, which is called contemplating the earth. Some people like to use this term, the Mother Earth, feeling grateful for the earth. We know that earth beneath our feet is always below us. Although the land provides us with food and the ground offers us mineral and treasures, what do we do to repay the earth? Do we show any gratitude? Among us, after taking a bite of food grown from the ground, bows down to the earth and say, "Thank you, earth. Thank you for giving me food to eat." The question is that, do we ever do that? Well, most not likely, but yes, for some people, they do that. The earth remains below, always providing what we need. Yet we seldom think of the earth's contribution. So the earth's virtue is the greatest, and it never seeks anything in return. The only things we give back are our spit, excrement, garbage, and unwanted items. Even when we die, we leave our decaying bodies to the earth. We discard everything bad to the earth and take the good for ourselves. So whoever thinks to thank the earth and say, "Earth, you are so good, you are my benefactor," probably very few would think this way. Therefore, practicing humility does not seek repayment or return. If it does, it is not true humility, but a purposeful act. Then this is without merit. Humility requires a lowering of the mind, not elevating it. A high mind, referring to a mind which is up in the air, leads to arrogance and pride. If the mind can be lower, humility will naturally follow. a high in the air mind, meaning arrogance, makes one think they are superior. So the phrase is that outward courtesy is virtue, means that our interactions, we must maintain appropriate etiquette, manners, and politeness. There is a saying, no one blames a person who is overly polite, which seems correct. But excessive politeness can also be wrong. As there is another saying, too much courtesy breeds deceit. Courtesy means interacting with others appropriately according to one's own position and status. The way elders treat juniors should be differ based on the appropriate manner. Now, we have another example given by our teacher, Master Sengye. He said that once he was with a young monk who insisted on giving our teacher a red envelope as a gift. You know, the Chinese has that habit or custom of giving money in there in the red envelope. and our teacher declined. And then after much much back and forth, many times, that means back and forth. Then eventually, our teacher accepted it. However, our teacher told him that he, the young monk, did not understand proper etiquette. As an elder, our teacher said that there was no need for formalities and that he should not offer anything to him because he was still young and didn't have much money, pocket money. And our teacher appreciated the gesture, but he did not need the money. This is an example of an elder monk showing compassion to a younger monk. However, the young monk insisted on giving him the money, which shows that he was not listening. There is a saying, a child who listens can be taught. But in this case, the monk was not listening and thus show a lack of respect. Simply giving me money does not demonstrate proper etiquette. I'm sorry. So courtesy is a lubricant between people. In certain countries, people are taught courtesy from a young age, starting within the family. They learn how to behave during meals, how to walk, how to interact with strangers, and how to greet acquaintances properly. When leaving the house, they always say courteous words. And when returning home, they also express polite words and gestures. This is the practice of everyday courtesy. Even with those we are very close to or see daily, we should still be polite. Between husband and wife, there should be mutual respect, as if they were guests. Means treating each other with courtesy, speaking with propriety, and maintaining politeness. Without propriety and courtesy, even brothers can end up fighting and arguing. Courtesy acts as a lubricant or protective layer between people, making our interactions harmonious and smooth. Now we may have a question. Can enlightened beings ignore etiquette and courtesy? Some people believe that those who practice Chan are those who have attained enlightenment, having reached liberation and transcended the ordinary, are different from ordinary people and thus may behave differently. What ordinary people consider impolite, they might not. Now, this belief is incorrect. Even for extraordinary saints, because they have no sense of self, they must be humble within. Externally, being very pure individuals, they will naturally be extremely polite, and they will certainly pay great attention to etiquette and manners. So please do not misunderstand. Attaining the fruit of arhat, which is great liberation, does not mean one can be slovenly dressed, sit carelessly, or sleep in a disorderly manner. These are mistaken beliefs and misconceptions. In reality, truly enlightened individuals, virtuous monks, and great spiritual teachers who practice diligently will always be very attentive to their etiquette, manners, and courtesy. So, practicing humility and courteous is meritorious. So these two words, humility and courtesy, that is coming from the platform Sutra. Humility is merit and courtesy is virtue. If one wishes to cultivate merit in spiritual practice, one must be humble in heart and courteous in behavior. So this is something everyone should understand and practice. Over time, the more you practice, the better and deeper your practice will become, leading to greater fulfillment. As a result, the afflictions in your mind will gradually decrease and your wisdom will increase. Whether or not you achieve enlightenment is not the most important thing. What matters is that as your own affliction decrease, you will also bring happiness and reduce the affliction of those around you. So the platform Sutra says, establishing all dharmas to self-nature is merit, and a mind free from thoughts is virtue. Now, what is self-nature? What is the essence of the mind? What does establishing mean? And what does being free from thought means? What insights can this provide for daily life? So the saying of the merits of establishing all dharmas through self-nature. What are the essence of the mind and the self-nature? Let's first explain what these terms mean. The essence of the mind refer to a state free from attachment and discrimination. It is a pure mind, also known as a wise mind. Since it is the essence, it is the fundamental nature, which has two functions. One is the production of afflictions, where the mind creates troubles. And the other is the mind's wisdom, which is also a function of the mind. These functions arise from the essence, which is the foundation. Well, we give an analogy of this essence as the analogy of a lamp. Now we use an electric lamp as an analogy. When there is no electricity, the lamp has no function. When there is electricity, it emits light. However, if the electrical power is weak, the lamp's light will be dim. If the power is strong, the light will be bright. This illustrates the function of a light bulb or lamp. If the mind is in a state of affliction, it is like a lamp that is on but placed inside a closed room where its light cannot be seen from outside. If the lamp were outside, its light would be visible everywhere. So what is the essence of our mind? The essence of the mind is our fundamental nature, which can produce both afflictions and wisdom. However, wisdom and afflictions are merely functions of the mind, not the essence itself. From the mind's functions, we can understand the existence of the mind's essence. So let's talk about the self-nature here. Self-nature is the inherent and unchanging nature that is the same for everyone. Now, as we can see that each person has their own unique personality, and each person's personality is different. Moreover, an individual's personality can change due to environmental influences, aging, or educational training, which can make their personality better or worse. For example, we often hear people saying that someone's temperament, whether good or bad, is innate. They claim that this person was born with a bad temper. was bad as a child and remains bad even as an adult, not changing until death. Some say a mountain may change, but a person's nature is hard to alter, implying that this person's deep-seated flaws are terrifying and unchangeable. But is this really the case? Not necessarily, right? This is incorrect. Such statements are too pessimistic. A child who is bad does not necessarily stay bad forever. So I'll give you an example. There was a disciple in the United States with a child who, this example is given by our teacher again. He said that he observed the time of the mother's difficult pregnancy until the child turned 15. This child is constantly changing. You have heard the saying that a girl goes through 18 transformations as she grows up. It is not that a girl changes 18 times after becoming an adult, but rather that she changes from an ugly duckling into a swan, just like all of you. This is why Confucius said, a sage has no constant teacher. And actually, a common person has no constant nature, and a sage has no constant teacher. A sage does not stick to one teacher forever, nor is it fixed. As the saying goes, when 3 people walk together, one can be my teacher. This means one should learn from everyone, traveling widely, read extensively, and that treat every experience as a teacher. The goal is to transform oneself. Therefore, there is a saying in Buddhism, a common person has no constant nature. It is not correct to define someone's entire life with one statement, such as a person's nature is hard to change. Everyone has the potential to change. Since personality can change, education and religious faith are truly effective. Otherwise, if a person remained the same before and after embracing religion or studying Buddhism, then an ordinary person would never become a bodhisattva or Buddha. So, as we mentioned earlier, that defining a person's nature as unchangeable is wrong. Instead, we should acknowledge the possibility of change. To say that a person's nature is hard to change is to deny that person's entire life, suggesting that no matter how much effort they put in, is useless because the character is unchangeable. But an ordinary person's mind can indeed change. And it is this possible that gives us hope in the future. When someone is going through a difficult phase, we should give them hope, saying, you will get better in the future. Your current bad state does not define you, just like the weather, which sometimes bring rain and wind. It won't always be stormy. After some time, things will gradually improve. Okay, I will stop here for now.